Byron Allen's HBCU Go deal is even better than advertised. We're going to talk about it. Byron Allen spoke out about it recently. And just the great things that are going to come from this. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. My people, what is good? What is good, my people? My name is JeffLightsYJr. Here at the Black Boss channel with Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, today I'm here to talk about the HBCU Go deal with the SWAC and what it's going to do and why I believe that it's even better than initially advertised. So, as you know, back a few months ago, earlier this year, or in the early parts of the year, the SWAC announced that they had struck a deal with Byron Allen's company, AMG Media. AMG Media had acquired HBCU Go. They bought HBCU Go because they buy up a whole bunch of media entities, and HBCU Go had struck a deal with the SWAC to carry all SWAC events, a bunch of SWAC events, including football, of course, which is the big money maker. But over, I think they said thousands of SWAC events from every school across different sporting events and different things that'll take place at those universities. And so that in itself was like, whoa, that's massive because that's different than having your sporting event, specifically football. When we talk about football, because football is the main viewership driver in all of American television, right? Nobody really watches a whole lot of television outside of live sporting events, and even more so outside of football live sporting events. That includes college football and professional football, the NFL. So when that came out, I did a video. I was talking about how excited it was. I thought it was going to be really dope. Thought it was going to be really cool. But we needed to wait till details came out. Well, some major details have emerged in recent days, and one of them has even made national headlines. I first saw HBCU Game Day talk about this, so I want to shout them out first. I first saw HBCU Game Day with this article, but then I saw Front Office Sports, which is one of the biggest media entities when it comes to television deals and different things that are taking place in the business side of the sports world. Well, they put out this, and like I said, HBCU Game Day had it first, but I had this tweet pulled up. It says HBCU Go has struck a nationwide broadcast deal with CBS stations for the 2022-23 sports season. Now, HBCU sports programming will be available in 12 major U.S. TV markets, including 70% of Black households and 60% of homes overall. So remember, when we came on here recently and talked about how the reporter in Atlanta, I can't think his name's escaping me right now, but the well-known reporter in Atlanta said, hey, we're going to have HBCU Go games on our Atlanta station here at News Now, whatever it's called in Atlanta. And I was like, yo, that's huge. Like, that is dope. That means people don't even have to access their phone or their tablets or whatever, the app or whatever, to watch the game. They can actually just flick on the TV and press a couple buttons and be on the channel. And I said, you know what? I wonder if other major metropolis cities will be able to do the same. Because if you got Atlanta, why can't you get Houston? If you get Houston, why can't you get Birmingham? If you get Birmingham, why can't you, shoot for the stars and get LA or New York or Philadelphia or whatever? That was my initial premise. Well, it looks like Byron Allen and the team over at HBCU Go was already working on this stuff. They already had it in the works, and that is coming to fruition. It's going to be on major networks on digital, which is their website, their app, the Roku, Fire Stick, all that stuff, and linear, which means basic TV and cable, CBS stations for the 2022-23 sporting season. That is huge. That is access to HBCU football that just hasn't been available for a long time. That is access to some of your favorite teams playing on linear television, not just digital, but also linear, that just hasn't been available in years past. That is a game changer. 70% of Black households will now have access to at least one major HBCU SWAC football game of the week put on by HBCU Go. Major. 60% of homes overall across the country. major. I'm talking about real major. That's big. That is big. Now, of course, I know the most passionate of you fans are wondering what's the money looking like, right? What is the money looking like, especially after we just saw the Big Ten get a 7-year, $7 billion deal? Well, if you thought the SWAC or the MEAC or the CIAA or the SEAC or whoever was going to get a 7-year, $7 billion deal, you were just out of your rabbit tail mind anyway. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Advertisers, cable companies, streaming platforms, whether it's Amazon, Apple, whoever, they're not just paying for the name. They're paying for the ratings. And so the Big Ten is able to go out and get this 7-year, $7 billion deal with combination of CBS and NBC and whoever at Fox. They're able to get that because they average millions of viewers every single week on one singular game. And now they're adding the LA market, which has 10 million people with UCLA and USC. And they averaged over 1 million viewers a game before they added the LA market. Now that they added the LA market, which is the second biggest market in the entire country behind New York, which has an excess of 10 million people in LA County, Los Angeles, Southern California, whatever, of course they can strike a major, major deal. So you're comparing apples to oranges if you're trying to say the SWAC deserves something like that. I'm not saying that the SWAC can't eventually build to get to that point. But up until recently, SWAC games were being broadcasted on freaking YouTube. Valley games were broadcast. I watched the Jackson State Valley game on freaking YouTube. So if you can watch a game on YouTube, you're not going to get $7 billion for your content. So I just want to preference everything else I'm saying by saying that. And so shout out to HBCU legends. Cal T. Mosley does a really good job. He did a long, thorough piece talking about this deal. He interviewed Byron Allen. And I also want to make sure I shout out the people behind the scenes on the HB. I mean, we talk about Byron Allen, but he owns a gazillion companies, right? Like his name is the headliner. But there's guys and gals also that work strictly for HBCU Go. They don't work for Allen Media Group or Allen Media Company. So they're the ones who are really working behind the scenes to get a lot of this stuff done. Of course, they're getting help from Byron Allen and AMG. They're the parent company, but they're the folks for HBCU Go that are working behind the scenes to get a lot of the wheels moving on a lot of this stuff. So shout out to those guys and gals. I just want to make sure I say that before we get into Cal's article. So let's look at Cal's article. Byron Allen, historic deal. HBCU Go deals with SWAC, CIAA, and they also added the CIAA, which is huge. Shout out to the D2 schools. Long overdue. Global instant distribution for the SWAC and CIAA will be achieved with Byron Allen's HBCU Go. Profitability and protections are questions for the HBCU conferences. It says Byron Allen believes in AMG's free streaming digital platform. HBCU Go's partnership with the SWAC and the CIAA are landmark deals. Few can disagree. We're talking about conferences that are over 100 years old, with the CIAA being created back in 1912 and the SWAC being created and formed back in 1920. And Byron Allen is talking about some of the big major companies he's got invested into these HBCU institutions like Procter & Gamble, United, Wells Fargo, Invesco, QQQ, Tyson Foods, Cricket Wireless are just a few among notable names. It goes on to say the SWAC arrangement with HBCU Go is a long-term partnership to amplify and grow the sports program. Byron Allen told me this is a long overdue support. And so here's the big thing. Let's skip down to the money. It says after this week's mega announcement with the Big Ten $7 billion television rights deal with Fox, CBS, NBC, are the HBCU conferences on the precipice of leaping into something similar long-term accords? The media mogul remarked how he was, quote, very proud of inking the multi-year contract with the SWAC, but would not disclose the financial terms of the new alliance. Quote, I can't share the details, but it is a long-term partnership that we are both SWAC and HBCU Go very excited about. So here's the thing. Do I think they should come out and say what the deal is? Yes, I think they should. I think the reason, this is just me guessing, this is not me, no inside information, no whatever. I don't think they want to be overshadowed by these mega deals that are coming out for the Big Ten and then very soon for the SEC. Because what Kyle says at the bottom, if you read that last sentence, he says, one source told me the deal is 10 years, $120 million between the SWAC and AMG, which is Allen Media Group. I heard Roland Martin say the same thing. I heard Scotty say the same thing. I guess at this point it's been weeks ago, if not months ago. So I heard this 10-year, $120 million deal, which is $12 million a year, which gives the SWAC schools an extra $1 million per year. That doesn't sound like much when you're comparing it to a 7-year, $7 billion deal with the Big Ten schools, where they get upwards of $100 million a year, right? Each individual school. And so I don't think, this is just me guessing, why they won't release the official number, just have us all guessing. And most of us can assume that it's the 10-year 120, because they don't want to be overshadowed. As soon as you put out the number, that it's only $12 million a year for the conference and $1 million per school versus the $100 million or $75 million, whatever it is for the Big Ten schools. I'm bad at math. I don't even know, because there's not 10 schools in the Big Ten. There's like 14 or something, 12 or 14. So it's something crazy. It's $100 million or whatever it is. You don't want to be overshadowed by that, because the constant thing for people to do is to compare, but you can't compare. There is no comparison. You have SWAC games that are on YouTube. You have SWAC games that are drawing 500 viewers a game, a couple thousand viewers a game, where you have Big Ten schools that are drawing millions of people per game. So how can you compare a game that is aired on YouTube that might get 4,000 people watching versus a Big Ten game that is on broadcast cable television that's getting 2, 3, 4 million people watching? You can't. So you're doing yourself and your institution a disservice by trying to compare. Now, what the 10-year deal does for me is that it allows AMG, HBCU Go, and the SWAC enough time to gather accurate data. See how this thing goes. So now you can take your viewers from linear and cable television and your digital viewers, come back at the end of the deal or even halfway through the deal and possibly renegotiate. Contracts get renegotiated all the time. And even if you aren't able to take a sample size from 5 years, maybe it's at the end of the 10-year deal, because maybe you're expecting some sort of turnover with coaches, with greater exposure becomes greater games becomes greater recruits, and maybe you're expecting some form of turnover with some of the really big time headlining coaches, and now you have data, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years with said X coach, and then the 2 years or the 3 years or the 4 years since that coach has been gone. And then you take that data and then you bring it to the contract table when you renegotiate with HBCU Go, or if you get a big deal with one of the 4-letter networks or the 3-letter networks. You get what I'm saying? Like you have to understand this from a business perspective. Folks can laugh at the $1 million that the schools are getting per year from HBCU Go, from Allen Media Group, but it's $1 million more than they were getting before. Whatever the hell they were getting before, it clearly wasn't this, because this is a mega deal. You get what I'm saying? If they were making hand over fist from whatever content that they have and that has been presented by ESPN or whoever, then they wouldn't be taking this deal and be excited about this deal. So clearly whatever the hell they're getting from ESPN or whoever isn't comparable to this, because this is a landmark deal. This is historic. This is major. This is big news. This is what needs to be done. This is the future. And you take the 10-year of data, 10 years of analytics, 10 years of change and turnover that may take place in the SWAC, 10 years of and possibly expansion or whatever, and you take that data, and in 2032, which is not as far as you think it is, but in 2032, you bring it to the table, whether you're trying to re-up with AMG or an HBCU Go, or you want to shop around to CBS, to Fox, to NBC, to ESPN, to ABC. So I see nothing wrong with it. See absolutely positively nothing wrong with this at all. I think it's huge. It says, contacted the SWAC conference office to verify the details. A representative would only confirm the SWAC signed a multi-year distribution contract with Allen's free streaming platform. Allen affirmed a few particulars from the first conversation we had back in February. So, yeah, this happened earlier this year, February 22. Quote, we did a deal with them, the SWAC, for over 2,000 live sporting events. That's football, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's volleyball, and other sports. It's everything, the entire spectrum. So once again, for the folks who enjoy a SWAC volleyball game, but you could never find it ever, now you have access to this. A SWAC soccer game that was never going to be put on television, like ever. Like ESPN was never going to carry a SWAC soccer game. For those who love, Grambling soccer or Bethune-Cookman volleyball or FAMU men's basketball, you weren't going to see that on ESPN. You just weren't. But now you have an opportunity to watch those games on HBCU Go. And your school is going to get paid for that content. Get paid at least $1 million per year. And now you can watch it on cable television with their deal with CBS, the CBS stations, and the 12 major networks. Not to mention other deals with Nexstar, Gray, Tegna, AMG, of course, Hearst, Circle City Broadcasting. Like, this is huge, guys. This is bigger than even I thought. And your schools are going to get paid for the content. It's not a whole lot of money. I'm not going to act like it is. But it's $1 million more than what they were making. You could stream it on HBCU Go and the Griot, which now has the Black News Channel. It'll now be the Griot TV and other broadcasts. So you'll have so many options and so many ways to see your favorite SWAC teams throughout the different seasons. Not just football season, which is the moneymaker. I'm not going to act like it ain't. But throughout the different seasons. This is huge. This is huge, and we can't act like this is a small deal. We can't act like this isn't a big deal. We can't act like this isn't a major move made by the SWAC, made by Commissioner McClellan, made by HBCU Go, and made by Byron Allen and AMG Media. Man, I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see how they push this thing forward. I can't wait to see the production of the broadcast, specifically for the football games. I can't wait to see that production and see how that looks and see how that sounds and see how that feels with the bands being included, with different, if they're able to do different types of stories to really, grasp what's taking place, not just on game day, but throughout the campus. This is going to be major. I full-heartedly believe that this will be major, a big deal. And I hope they live up to my expectations. I hope they live up to my expectations because I'm hyping it up because I'm excited. Football is almost here, guys. There will be football played this week. The MEAC SWAC Challenge, week 0, taking over on ESPN. And then HBCU Go, I think they'll have a pre-show on like Labor Day weekend. And then they get right into the games. Man, I cannot wait. Hit the thumbs up button, man. Let me know in the comments and in the chat, what are you most excited about? The new HBCU Go deal, all the different networks on both cable, linear, and digital. Let me know what you're excited about as far as the HBCU football season that'll take place this year. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and my YouTube channel, the Jeff Lightsy Jr. You can subscribe right there. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Continue to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Share this video if you feel inclined. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Man, HBCU Go, AMG Media Group, the SWAC, it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy year. And we have football this week. Alabama State versus Howard. Let me know who you think will win the MEAC SWAC challenge. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you next time. Peace.